Hi, everybody, and welcome to Compliance Conversations this Thursday afternoon. I hope you're all well and having a great week. I'm so excited that you're here to join us, especially because we are celebrating Women's Month. And today I have two guests who are women in the space of legal and compliance and are charting their own path. So please help me to welcome Lindiwe Matsebula and Inonge Mataa, who are the co-founders of Mataa and Matsebula Attorneys and Kisheria Legal and Compliance Advisory. And today we're going to be talking about what it takes to be a woman in the business of legal and compliance. You know, we are professionals and we're also charting a path in the business space and doing it on our own. So I thought what an appropriate time to have them as a guest on Compliance Conversations. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Kudzai.
Thank you for having us, Kudzai.
And thank you to the audience as well for joining us.
Awesome. It's so exciting. I've been wanting to have this conversation for a while now because I'm passionate about women empowerment and just, you know, getting the conversation going. And one of the questions that I receive so often is, you know, how did you, navigate in your career as a woman? And then when you made the choice to start on your own, you know, how did you go about, what are the steps that you took? How did you gather the bravery to kind of go on your own? So I know I've got my own story, but that's not what I'm here to focus on today. I really want to know about your journey and, how you got to where you are today, particularly, and share your insights with the compliance conversations community so that they can benefit as well. So, I'm going to jump straight into the conversation, and I know there's two of you, so feel free to take turns and answer the questions I'm going to throw at you as you feel comfortable to do so. But obviously, you're lawyers. You are admitted attorneys of the High Court of South Africa. What was it that made you make the choice to enter into the legal profession?
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. For me, it was my dad. Believe it or not, I wanted to do nursing. I wanted to be a nurse. Then I got to university and I was actually briefed and told that nursing actually has a lot of math in it. And then I was like, oh my God, mathematics again. I was like, I'm not going down that route. And then I was like, let me try dentistry. And my dad was like, dentistry still has math. Then I was like, I don't know what to do anymore. But then my dad actually drove a lawyer from Botswana to come and actually encourage me to take up law as a profession, as a career. So yeah, That's my story. Yeah.
For me, I don't know, law was just always on the table for me growing up. I was always called the family advocate. Even at when I was playing with my friends, after school and all of that, I was always the lawyer, really. And it was also, I don't know, just inspired by my dad as well, because he also studied his LLB, although he never completed it. But it was always like a discussion, in the house and growing up, all of that. And also when it came to career guidance at school, I always identified with that route, because also my mathematics has never been. It's always been hard. And funny enough, we need mathematics. But
you can't run away from it somehow. You can't run away.
Especially when you're running your own business, you still have to do your own bookkeeping.
Exactly. And it's interesting that you guys both point out your dads as influences, because I remember when I was growing up, I had an aunt. She was a CA and she drove a very nice car. So I announced one day that I'm going to be a CA. And my dad was like, no, you will die a slow death. You're too extroverted and talkative to be a CA. And he proclaimed that I would be a lawyer. And I was like, oh, okay. And I kind of just went with it. And, the rest is history. But it's just interesting how our dads kind of influenced that the direction that we ended up going in. And then what made you, you studied, you practiced. What made you wake up and say, you know what, we're ready to go on our own? Or how did you actually meet and decide to do this together?
Are you taking this one first?
Sure. So
You can start,
I
Lindiwe.
I think our meeting was definitely not by chance.
Mm-mm.
It was really written in the stars because our story was almost the same. So for me, I got admitted as an attorney, and then I got my first attorney job, really. But I was an expectant mother. Okay. So then I went on maternity leave, and there was a bit of complications with my employer. And that's literally how the relationship ended with my previous employer, like because of pregnancy, really. But that's a story for another day. So then now I'm on the market now. I'm looking for a job, and I am of childbearing age. So I'm a liability. And nobody really wants to hire somebody who's also newly married and has a child and of childbearing age, really.
Yeah.
So then at the time, because I was still really like a new mother at the time, so I decided, okay, let me do my what is it?
Practice management.
Yeah, my practice management training, and let's see where it takes me for now, so that I'm doing something, that I'm not idle and whatnot, and I'm still sort of like competitive when it comes to the job market. And that's where I met Inonge, where she walked in late and she looked
I can edit
and
this.
that's what captured me.
All the skeletons are coming out. Okay,
Right? Yes. And then she walked in and she was like,
The place was so packed.
It was
like I
packed.
was looking for a place to sit.
So I saw her and then I was like, okay, this side. Yeah. And she sat next to me and kaboom.
Yeah, you say that you got pregnant and you newly married, childbearing age, and story for another day. But I think it's actually important to just touch on that a little bit, because I mean I had a similar experience as well. Because women who are going to watch this and of childbearing age will probably meet similar situations. For me, I took a career gap. Because I wanted to start a family and had some other stuff I needed to deal with. And again, when you're not ready to re-enter the market, it was very much like, oh my gosh, a challenge that I never anticipated when I left. I just thought, you take a break and you step right back in. But there's so many things, like you're saying, that as now a new mom, maybe your appetite for travel, your appetite, you're being considered for roles that have lots of travel. They look at you and go, I don't know if you can do this. You've got kids, so it is a very real reality for women and in our field. And for me, it's what was a very big contributing factor in deciding to do my own thing. And I'm assuming that, maybe that was a similar driver for you as well.
Most definitely. Just to touch back on that, because I remember when I was getting interviewed for my articles, one of the questions I was asked was, do I have a boyfriend? Okay. Do I plan on getting married? When do I plan on getting married? Do I plan on having children? When do I plan on having children? And at the time, these are normal questions. I was like, okay, this is normal, whatever. Great. I get a job. Then, I'm talking to my other colleagues and I'm asking them, what kind of questions they ask you? And these are guys. And none of that came up in their interview. Nobody was concerned about them getting married, having children, and all of that stuff. It was never a talking point in the interview. And I found it to be so weird. And then later on, fast forward, it became my reality. Because I remember even one of the recruiters telling me just to remove my age, and then remove the fact that I'm married on my CV and all of that stustuff.
Imagine.
Because that's going to change my potential employer. So,
It's ridiculous, because we're not just our professions. We are whole human beings. We are mothers, we are wives, we are sisters, just like men are fathers and brothers and have other obligations. But it's remarkable how it actually is a determining and influencing factor for women. But hopefully we change the narrative as time goes along. We're doing our own things, and in our own organizations, we'll do, as they grow and become massively successful, we will make sure that that's not an issue. But it's just, it's very interesting to see that was something that, a commonality that we all experienced. And Inonge, what was your kind of experience around that?
I was in corporate. I was in corporate for quite a long time, and I really got frustrated with the rat race. You know, in corporate, you really have to prove yourself. And at that time, I was not yet an admitted attorney because being a foreigner in South Africa, you first have to have your permanent residence status sorted out before you can actually get admitted as an attorney. So for me, it was you don't get paid enough because every time you ask for a raise, they actually tell you, well, but you're not yet admitted. And then you're like, but I've passed my board exams, and I've proved myself within this space. I think I deserve a raise. And every time
And
they
you're
told
doing
me,
the work.
admitted, So I think by the time I actually got admitted, it just became normal for me to say, you know what, I need to do this on my own. I think the frustration just weighed me down, and I decided I can be my own boss, actually. So, yeah.
Exactly. Why do it for someone else if you can do it for yourself,
Yeah.
So what was the point for both of you when you said, we're doing this, we're starting it, and what has the best thing been about, being on your own?
I think for us, it's we have the same vision. It's amazing how when we actually met the first day around, we spent like 2 hours in the parking lot. When it was time to go home after class, and we were talking we were talking about how we can actually change the legal fraternity, how we can be these two Black women working together so well, and incorporating compliance into our law firm, something different. And we kept on talking on and on about how not every lawyer can be a compliance practitioner, we can do things differently and all that. So we had this common vision to have a Black female law firm that actually hires Black females to do the work and actually expand into the greater African region and be great. I think the vision for what we want to achieve has always been there from the time that we met. Yeah, Linz?
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely.
No, that's really amazing. And go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, I echo what Inonge said, because also we shared similar struggles as well as women in business, Black women specifically in business, And we also one of our visions was that we wanted to create a platform for young Black women as well to also sort of make their mark, in the future. And I mean, you did say, Kudzai, that we're also human beings, we're people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If somebody's going to want to start a family, why should we block them from doing that? Because you can still be a wife, you can be a mom.
It's a value thing,
yes,
actually.
and be a boss lady as well. It doesn't take away from, and a lot of people treat pregnancy like it's some kind of illness or something. It's really not. And I, for me, found myself to be even more driven and more focused now, because I know I'm trying to pave a way for other people as well. Yeah. But not only my children, but like all the other Black girls, man, that Black girls struggle.
you want that Black girl magic to go all over the
show. Like, because man, you've walked into those boardrooms where people are speaking Afrikaans, and you're just like, no, man, not today.
Yeah.
You've gotten that document, man, and you're also tempted to reply, "Kia leboga," but you have to hold yourself and be like, no.
By being your authentic self in that way, like if you're speaking in your mother tongue, I can speak in my, but for you it's going to limit you going forward because they're going to paint you with a certain brush.
I'm angry and I'm aggressive by doing that.
Yeah,
that
is so true.
Exactly.
I'm angry, I'm aggressive. If I have opinions and stuff, I'm angry, I'm aggressive. So I can never be firm and fair. I'm always angry and aggressive, or I'm too ambitious. And there's no space for me in that place where I'm too ambitious.
And then when you actually voice out your concerns, it's like you are unteachable. You actually won't get very far.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to learn the ropes, and get accustomed to how things work in this environment, things like that. And I think I was actually very blessed to have a principal when I was serving my articles who was also female. And that one was taking no prisoners. Like, she would actually tell me, what? They sent the letter in Afrikaans. She would actually pick up the phone and call the other party and say, you know what, this is not on. Do you want me to send back the letter in Xhosa? Stuff like that. So for me, I think she really gave me the motivation that I can actually do it. If you have to refuse instructions, if you're not comfortable with instructions, then go ahead and just say no, Yeah.
No, that's really great. And your vision for me is so inspiring, and it's actually very aligned with my own vision for myself, that, you go into these spaces sometimes and you're just like, you are one. Like literally the only person at the table, and you're like, this is not on, and I feel uncomfortable. And then sometimes you have to struggle to find your voice, and then ultimately when you do find your voice, you're like, you know what, it's time to have more of us at the table. And if we can't get to the table because of whatever resistance, then we need to build our own table. And somehow I'm kind of like a little bit envious of you guys as well, because it's like, at least with you guys there's the two of you, right? You've got someone to talk things through. And I think somehow the network must have dropped. I hope they rejoin back in a second. But what I was saying was that, the great thing about, I think, what I'm envious about Inonge and Lindiwe being able to work together and having such a great shared vision is that, as much as you're pushing a vision, pushing an agenda, it can be very challenging when you're on your own, which is my case in terms of primarily the way I work. But at the same time, they have each other and they're back. Yay. Yes. It's okay. The whole world knows that Wi-Fi is it's a tricky situation, so don't worry about it. I was just saying, that, sometimes this thing of, you guys are partners in your endeavors, right? Both the law firm and the compliance advisory niche firm that you have. And it seems like such a great thing to be able to find a person that you have that shared vision, shared ambitions and aspirations, which we will talk about a little bit later, to kind of just work with each other, But with that being said, and I know we've touched on it a little bit, in terms of the hurdles you experienced in corporate, but now as you've embarked on this journey and you've been doing it for some years now, what are some of the hurdles you think you've faced in having your own law firm, establishing your credibility, those type of things?
Sure. Let me go first.
It sounds like a lot.
It's a lot.
It is quite.
It's a lot, yes.
It's actually one thing to have this great vision on paper, and then it's another to actually implement it. And for us, I think initially when we started, we were a bit naive in the sense that, because people know you or you know people, you actually program yourself in your mind to say, my work is going to come from company X, or my, or my clients will be A, B, C, D. And the most amazing thing, Kudzai, is the work doesn't come from those people.
Yeah.
We knocked on doors. We sent out company profiles. We requested for time to do pitches in companies and so forth. This is what we can do for you. We can, even lower our hourly rate. We can do that for you. We can do this framework for you, compliance framework and risk management analysis, all those things, the works. The people that we pitched to never really rocked up to say, you know what, we're giving you the work. They would actually go for somebody else. And we were actually talking about it this week when we're having a conversation with you, after we had a conversation with you, to say, wow, if we're to go through our bookkeeping to say, okay, the money that has been coming in, it's got nothing to do with those people. It's complete strangers. So I think when the Lord has ordained that a certain path for you is this, you have to keep your ear inclined to what the Lord is saying and do exactly what he's saying. and not to just focus your eyes on, okay, I see XYZ
It's doing this.
Yes.
So I'm going to do the same.
Exactly.
And you're not called to do it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Because then you won't have the resilience, you won't have the drive to do it. We were going through one of our files, even like where we keep all our documents and all of that. And I was showing Inonge some of the mind maps that we did when we started. And just the process, like literally the behind the scenes of us eventually sitting here in front of you and having this discussion with you, that it was all, and it's not only about the law firm and doing the legal work, but it's also about running a business and the admin of it and the bookkeeping and the marketing and all of it. I mean, we are the finance department.
We are the directors.
You are preaching to the choir. There are not enough hours in the day.
We are all of that. And then you sit there and you're like, where are the clients going to come from? Because you also told your uncle, listen, this is a service that I provide. Please tell your boss there at the company that this is my profile. 3 years later, you still haven't heard from them. Then you pioneer. You open a Facebook account, you open an Instagram account,
a LinkedIn account,
you post here and there, you get an inbox, you get a phone call, you get a WhatsApp, a message, and that's how it progresses. Even if somebody doesn't end up being your client, but you'll find out that they recommended somebody or they sent somebody to you. And then, so as the years progress, then you sort of have a footprint. Then it's like, those people you first approached, they're the ones that slowly also start trickling in because I think they also wanted to see if you're really legit.
Exactly.
If you're going to
and this is the funny thing. They know you, right? But they just don't want to put in both their feet. You understand? Yeah. So it's a bit weird that the people that know you don't actually give you the work first. It's like they test the waters to see.
Yeah. And also, the people that know you want a discount.
We're going to get into the money part of the conversation. Just to echo what you're saying, right? So in terms of like running the business, you are everything, especially in the beginning. Like you're saying, marketing, it's you. Social media, it's you. Finances, and like we mentioned earlier on, this maths and accounting thing, for some of us, it was one of those but you have to figure it out because you can't, the cash flow to be paying an accountant and a social media expert is just not there. So, and this is why I want, it's called Women in the Business of Legal and Compliance, because you have to know how to run a business and learn those skills as well. And then not just, okay, I'm good at legal, I'm good at compliance, I'm starting my own business. Because to your point, you're going to sit there, have a sign on a beautiful desk somewhere, and no one is coming through the door. And at the end of the day, we're all working for money, and then like you're saying, that's where now your relationships are coming in, and it's a long game. From what you were saying and from my experience, just because you have a client or a conversation, should I say, today, doesn't mean it's necessarily going to bear fruit today. It could bear fruit in 3 years' time, 2 years' time. If you're lucky, maybe in 3 months, 6 months, you never know. But a lot of the, like conversations I had 2 years ago are starting to bear fruit now. And to your point, Inonge, that you were saying that, you're those people who you knew and you thought, okay, these are going to be my clients. I think, or my take on it, rightly or wrongly, is that I think people also want to see if you are serious, if you have staying power. Are you going to stay the course, or are you going to be someone who I give some work today and then tomorrow you decide you want to go into flower arranging or plumbing or something, and then, but they've invested. So when they see that you actually have that staying power and you are serious and committed, then, they start giving you more work and engaging with you. So it's not a, you woke up today and now you're making 6 million rand a day kind of endeavor. It's just, and I wanted people to really understand that you have to play the long game, and then it starts to pay off after a period of time if you're in business. Yeah. There's a question in the comments that I'm just going to look at now. It's from, and I hope I'm saying it in the right order, Berko Danso. Has COVID changed the way you run your firm? or is there anything in the pipeline to implement in your firm to cope with the current pandemic? So how has this pandemic impacted you guys?
It has, eh? It has, in the sense that we used to have clients who walk through our doors, and then we tell them, okay, for us to do the work, it's going to cost you this much. And people just don't have that much currently. You understand? So we find ourselves entering into repayment plans. Can we do the work to this point, and then you pay us this much, and then we continue to this point, and then you pay us this much? Or can we do the work and then pay us on a monthly basis? You understand? So you find that most of our clients who could actually pay a lump sum upfront can no longer do that. So and most of them actually cite COVID. You know, we don't have enough clients as well. Would have loved to have this done, but this and that. So it's a matter of flexibility and trying to actually meet the client halfway in terms of their monetary capabilities.
No, same here. I mean, there were certain things that I had in the pipeline that, you know, that very first lockdown when it was announced, and we all thought it was going to be, you know, 3 weeks and we're done with it. You know, there were things in the pipeline that got cancelled, or they're like, we're just going to take a wait and see approach. And until now, they have not materialized, or, you know, kind of situation. So
we can relate.
It's like, you know, I started 2020. When did this all start? Yeah, March 2020. I was very optimistic and was having really great conversations. And then it ground to a screeching halt, you know, in terms of that. And it's slowly but surely starting to pick up, and like you're saying, you have to be flexible with certain clients and be like, okay, I can do this for you. Let's structure it this way. Let's review the scope of the work, you know, whatever it does to help the client, but also help you continue with that relationship. So the pandemic has definitely had an impact on doing business, but, you know, we're both still here, you know, KC compliance and Mataa and Matsebula. So we're surviving the storm.
That's great. That's great, definitely. And I mean, like, I think obviously all of us were really unprepared for the pandemic, and also we heard all about the relief funds and all of that, which, surprise, some of us did not even qualify for, even though we are small businesses, and even we just, I don't know, we missed the mark somewhere. We're not informal businesses. We're not small enough. We're not big enough. We're not. It's like we were just floating, and
basically you're on your own.
You go to the law society. Oopsie.
They'll be like, oh, you haven't practiced for 3 years.
Oh,
so
we can't help
you.
You know,
stuff
so
like that,
I mean, for us, definitely, if it wasn't for our families, really, honestly, during the pandemic, you know. So I think they when it was that hard lockdown, especially, you know, their support and all of that, because I mean, debit orders have to go off, overheads have to be taken care of, and all of that, you know. So they really came through for us in a very big way, up until such a point where we were able to then start, because we came back last year June. Eh?
Yeah, last year June.
It was last year June, and things were still a little bit slow. And then
also you find that some clients prefer face-to-face consultations. And we're in a pandemic, you know. Can't you do virtual? You know, you can't come to the office now. No, we want to see where your office is, because, you know, most clients believe that if you don't have an office as a lawyer, then you are not quite legit. So, you know, it took, I think, a good 6 months for us to get back on our feet. Yeah,
I can imagine. I know we touched on this the other day when we were chatting, and you were in the office, and I'm like, oh, you guys, you have got like a full-on office even during this time. Can't you work from home? And you mentioned to me that actually clients want to see brick and mortar when it comes to, you know, they really want to be able to walk in, sit, see your law books like you have behind you, and say, okay, you are a legitimate practice. I just have my motivational books. You guys are good journals. It's official, which is a slightly different experience from what I do, since I'm not like practicing in the same way you are, but I can do work virtually. I can work from my office at home, which gives me a little bit more flexibility in terms of my cost base, because the overheads obviously are those are removed from me. So that's also helped me a little bit to survive in terms of being able to streamline that. But I understand why you have to go that route, because in the legal profession, it's we have to see you and you have to look the part in all its glory.
Amen.
Yeah. So you've been running your business, right? And you've been getting your clients. And what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned so far, that you were totally clueless about this when you started? I know you touched on how you thought it would be easy to get clients, but besides that, what is like one of the biggest things that you said, we've learned this lesson and now we're better for it, in terms of your experience so far?
I think for us as compliance practitioners, we were very humbled by the fact that you also need to implement that in your business.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, this is a product I'm trying to sell to you, but I don't have it in my
what you preach.
Yeah.
If you have to put in policies and stuff, it needs to start in your own business.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we once attended FIC workshop, and it was just for attorneys, and they were telling us the importance of actually reporting anything that comes into your trust account that's above 25,000 rands, and all that. And then we sat there and then we're like, we are actually compliance practitioners. We don't even have this, you understand, we don't even have this framework in place.
Yeah. Or even if the law society comes and it's like, it's audit time, it's frantic now because
do you think they'll pick this file? Do you think it's this one,
So it's like we had to make sure even the way we open our files is standard. There's a checklist.
SOP.
I've got this, how we answer our phone calls, how we do certain things, how to retrieve information from each other if we're not together about a file, little things like that. So I think we didn't really think about the admin really behind running a business. That wasn't a focus. We thought, we're just going to litigate. We're just going to send a proposal here and there, and we're going to get the work, and we're going to do that. But there's more to actually doing the work. You have to keep your business alive, and you have to practice what you preach.
Practice what you preach.
No, I agree 100% with that. The admin for me, not the other day, when Poppy was done, right? So, you can be busy helping your clients with Poppy, and then all those emails were flying from all the providers you've ever given your email to, knowingly or unknowingly. And then I realized, I was like, wait, I've got people's personal information, and I haven't sent my own notification to people, and I'm busy watching all this stuff. And I'm like, and to your point, sometimes you get busy with doing the work, and you're like, okay, but I also have to comply with certain things within my business and make sure that you're staying on top of it. But the thing is, and I think we touched on it earlier as well, sometimes it's also just about capacity. It's not that we don't know or whatever, but if I've got to deliver something for a client and the other client is calling, asking for an update on this, and I'm trying to execute that, admin tends to fall to the bottom of the list all the time, but again, as part of running business, like you said, you have to kind of force yourself to go through those steps and maintain it, because it does get unruly. And then you get the email from SARS saying your tax return is due, and you're like, wait, what?
Then you're like,
you're like, where do I even start? And you have to figure out things like that. So it really is, for me, the challenge has been, growing a client base, maintaining that client base through a pandemic, and then running the business and figuring it out. And, it's small things that you just like, if I can't wait until I can just have like maybe 5 other people in my team. Farm this stuff out and focus on the stuff that I enjoy doing, like the actual compliance work. But until we get to that point, we kind of just have to, like I said, plod along and figure it out as
And
we go.
especially for us, with the admin part of things, we actually made a decision that Fridays are for admin. Like, there's no consultation, there's nothing, we're not working on anything. So we call it admin Fridays, where we actually just come in jeans and t-shirts, and then we are doing admin work, the whole of Friday.
Yeah.
So that's the only way we can actually get around the admin for now, till we hire an admin assistant. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
You have to have a structured approach to it and be disciplined around it. I think I saw Theo Baloy, the Batu sneakers
Yes.
guy.
Yes.
He also has a similar thing like that. I think I can't remember if it's Fridays or Wednesdays or something, but he has a day where it's like, you know what, I'm focusing on thinking, admin, growing, and I think it's a necessity. And he's got a massive business and obviously a team. But I'm pretty sure I saw it was him on his Twitter or something saying something similar. You have to have dedicated time to make sure that you're taking care of these things, because that's what runs a business. Not just doing your actual day-to-day work. It's important to run the business. I'm seeing a comment here from Burko again. He said, I've worked with the ladies and I think they have higher professional standards. Keep up with the good work, ladies. So that's just a compliment for you. I guess he's worked with you before. You guys might know him.
Yeah, we know him.
So he's a fan. But in terms of like your support, and both from a professional and personal perspective, how do you guys find that support? Because I know I've had bad days sometimes where I'm just like, you know what, I can't anymore. This is frustrating. It's hard. And, then, you just need that person or those people that you have that you can call on, and they shore you up again and you're ready to go. Who's that in your spaces, in your lives? Okay.
Untitled would be like,
I'm looking for a job. I'm going to put my CV out there. The thing is, we never experience bad days on the same day.
Yeah.
There'll be a day where she walks in and she's full of energy, and I'm just not having it. I'm not feeling anything. And then there'll be vice versa. Days when it's my turn or it's her turn. And she's the one who's always like, remember when we started to look at us now, stuff like that.
We've got a bookshelf.
We've got a bookshelf.
And with her sometimes she's like, month end with Lindiwe, when month end is to be in the office at 5 a.m. Month end, and you're just like, why are you here so early? We need to work. Christ, month end, stuff like that. Yeah. So I think we always have each other because we never have bad days at the same time. Then also, I think our partners, our husbands, I think they believe in what we do so much. When you say that, what, I'm working late on this legal opinion, on this proposal, whatever, they've got the kids, you understand?
Yeah.
And then
shout out.
Shout out to the husbands.
And then our parents as well. Our parents as well. And then we pray a lot.
Yeah.
Linda and I pray a lot. If things are not adding up, there's that scripture that actually says what.
Very true, yeah.
We really do pray a lot. We read the word a lot.
Yeah.
We try to actually read the word, like if I'm reading the book of John, we read it at the same time.
Yeah.
So that we can actually have, whilst we are working, to say, that scripture, what was Jesus actually saying in that scripture, stuff like that. I think that really keeps us going. Each other, our partners, our parents, the word mostly.
And our mentors.
We're
actually very lucky to have mentors that are easily accessible as well. People that are well experienced in the industry. And also when you're feeling low, whatever, they also share their stories, where they started and whatnot. And we also have friends in the legal in the legal space as well, we have friends that have their own firms as well. Like, because I know I was inspired by one of my friends who started her own law firm as well. And I look at her and I see the journey that she has walked, and she inspires us, And when she also calls and she's like, I'm having a bad day, then we remind her, listen. And then when I call and I tell her it's not working out, she'll be like, but listen, So I think we really have a good support structure in general. And I think it's really good that she and I speak the same language. We are of the same vision, and we're not scared to share our fears as well and our concerns. We don't hide these things from each other, because I don't want one day I'm walking to the office and she's calling me and she's telling me she's boarding a flight to the UK. I'm not doing it. Where I'm going.
What a disaster.
So we're always on the same page, and we always try to be like, okay, so how can we resolve this? How do we change how we feel? And usually I do believe it's definitely the Holy Spirit also ministering to us. I think he planted a seed in our hearts, both of us, and now it's time to bear the fruit, so it's really, that's why I'm saying we didn't meet by chance. We really didn't. It's very rare to find somebody who's like literally a mirror image of you, like I can really walk into the office and be like, Ash, we need to find a chef who's going to deliver food to our office. It will be so nice one day when we have the money. And she'll be like, I was Googling the other day, keto what, so on the same.
So you're like in sync.
We're like in sync. Like I was actually doing that the other day, and I'm like, you see. So,
and that's the thing, because you guys are your co-founders, so it's almost like a marriage in a sense, right? Because you are together every day from morning till 5 p.m., maybe even on weekends sometimes. You have to communicate to make sure that no one is feeling some kind of way about maybe something that I did or said, so that and everyone, the left hand needs to know what the right hand is doing, because again, resources are limited. Go ahead.
And because the synergy is so good, it's so in sync, we tend to actually say we are not happy about these instructions. If somebody comes in and then says, you know what, do this for me, here's so much money into trust, we'll be like, how do you feel about this? And usually 90% of the time, what I'm feeling is what she's feeling about those instructions. And if we just forge ahead to say, okay, let's do it anyway, later on we'll be like, we shouldn't have, we shouldn't have. So they feel about which client to help, what help to actually implement is always something that is, it's felt, we say, this cannot be our client. We are not where they fund.
I don't know if you can still hear me, but your screen has frozen. Maybe the Wi-Fi is acting up.
Types of instructions that are we.
Okay, yeah, I think the Wi-Fi decided to do what Wi-Fi does. There we go. That was quick.
Where did it cut off?
But I hear you, because you kind of stopped. It kind of broke a little bit when you were talking about having the discernment, I guess, to be able to say that, what, this is a client that we're happy to work with. This is a client we're not happy to work with. It's not aligned with our values and our vision. And I think that's a very important point, because sometimes people think that just because you're in business and you want money, that's the driver. And it can't just be about, dollars and cents, because then you're essentially for sale to the highest bidder. You have to be very, very clear on what your vision is, what you're working towards, what you're trying to achieve. And then that in itself makes it very easy to make decisions, because you can see what's aligned and what's not aligned. So I like that you raised that, because, it can't just be about I'm working to work, especially if you're running your own business. It's not like when you're employed, as much as there are advantages to that, but you have a boss, they tell you what to do and you do it. Now you're in you're running a business, so you actually have the capacity to be like, you know what, this is what I want my company to look like. This is what I want to achieve and where I want to have impact and work in those spaces. And I have found that the more clear I've gotten about my vision and direction, the more the work that comes. It's almost like, like you're saying, divine intervention, or, the universe, depending on what people believe in, that actually flows in your direction. So I like that you raised that, because it's very important.
Linda was actually saying something before.
I think she covered it.
Oh,
no, you did cover it.
We're in sync. We're on the same page. So when it comes to your aspirations, what is it? What's your vision ultimately? I know you mentioned it earlier that you want to go into Africa and all of that, but you just like state it for everyone more clearly. Where do you see yourself? I don't know, in 5-10 years on, what's the goal?
It's a very big goal.
It's a big one.
Say it out loud. This is the part where you're putting it into the universe.
Global. Definitely. We're going to bring compliance to the world in a very tangible and very real way. There's going to be, people are going to be they're going to be familiar with the legislation and regulations that impacts their businesses because they heard about it from us. And they're like, hey, remember what those girls said? Let's implement it in our businesses. People are going to be seeking us to do this work for them.
Yes.
Amen. Black women will be coming in here in their high-heeled shoes, and laptops, and working and making a living for their families. And, they're going to realize their dreams as well. They're going to be propelled out there and shine bright, and they'll always have a home, or they'll have a beginning, where like a stepping stone for them to go out in the world, we're coming for everyone. We're coming for everything. We are going to be invoicing in dollars, in pounds, in euros, all of it.
In naira.
All of it. Yes, all of it.
Global, outer space.
Yeah.
I think also what actually that's a very good question. I remember one of the first conversations I had with Linz was, I was once flying from Lusaka back to Johannesburg, to OR Tambo. And on the flight, there was this white man who I was sitting next to. And he opened his laptop and he was doing work for the city council in Lusaka. So I asked him a question. I was like, interesting work. What are you doing? Then he told me it's compliance. And I was like, oh, really? You are? And he told me his name and everything, and that he actually has a compliance firm here in Joburg. Listen to this, here in Joburg. And he's doing compliance work for the city council in Lusaka, in Zambia. I got touched. I caught feelings.
You caught all the feelings.
I really got touched. When I remember when I got home, I think I complained bitterly to my husband. I was like, but why can't we African people also do it? Why can't somebody in Zambia be this compliance practitioner who actually does a whole compliance framework for the city council in Zambia, in Lusaka? Why can't we do it? And one of the conversations we actually had with Linz was, this has to be big. It just can't be in Johannesburg. We have to go out there. If it means us boarding a flight 6 a.m. from OR Tambo to Lusaka or to Kenya, to whatever, and then fly back at 6 p.m., so be it. You understand? I think it's a dream that's really bigger than us. It's really bigger than us. And if we keep our ears inclined to what the Lord wants us to do and how we should do it, I think we can achieve it. But the aspirations is to go global. And we will start in South Africa, maybe Botswana, maybe, I don't know. But it just doesn't have to end here. Africa needs GRC. Africa needs governance, risk, and compliance. And I think we are the right people to do that.
And the world also needs boardrooms that are full of women of color,
yes.
of women in general as well. People must come in and feel uncomfortable and be like, oh, I must also adjust myself. In front of
Not the way it's been the other way around for too long.
You adjust yourself when it's a boardroom full of men. They must also be like, let me also adjust myself in a boardroom full of women.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love that you've stated this big goal. And why that I think is important is because so many people shrink their dreams into the box that they feel is possible. And I want everyone who watches this to see it and be like, wow, how do they think they're going to achieve this? And quite frankly, I have big, and I'm very much about the Africa agenda. I mean, on my website, it's for Africa, by Africa, and I truly believe that as well. And to be honest, I have a plan, but I don't know how it's going to unfold. But that's not mine to know how it's unfold. Mine is to work. Mine is to do what needs to be done and then let it fall into place. Not everything that is a big dream or an ambitious dream, they knew how it was going to work from point A to Z. So there's no need for, someone who's deciding that I want to start my business or do X, Y, Z. You don't have to have the blueprint in its entirety. But it's important to start. It's important to believe in yourself, and it's important to have that big dream and work towards it, and then see what happens. See what the universe and God decides to bless you with ultimately. But I love big dreams. I'm a big fan of them, and I think everybody should have what is it that Oprah says? You should have a dream that's so big it scares you. I'm actually not sure if it's her, but close enough. I really like that you have this big ambitious dream, and I'm looking forward to you staying in touch with you guys and following it all the way through. And I'll be like, remember that year in 2021 during the pandemic when we had this conversation? Yes, and look at you now, kind of situation. But with that being said, and we're talking about, other people watching this. If someone is watching this today, tomorrow, later on YouTube or something, and, they're looking at you, they're inspired, and they're like, right, they're doing it. And, they do face challenges, they do have bad days. What's kind of the advice if they want to follow suit and pursue their dreams, whatever that looks like, maybe in the legal and compliance space as well? What would you advise them, in terms of getting started and pursuing that?
I would say whatever vision or dream that you have, write it down. Put it in writing. Visualize it like literally, speak it into existence every single day. Then it becomes part of your fabric, part of your DNA, because when you're faced with challenges, this is the vision. Secondly, I don't know if maybe you're coming out of corporate or whatever, like realistically speaking, have money saved. That will really help you. I think for us, we didn't have that. We were we had a vision, but if I'm going to be 100% honest, we were also very emotional getting into this. Because I think we felt very hard done and we're going to show them, but I would advise that really have money saved, 6 months is not enough, especially in this current.
Now that we've learned that with this global pandemic, 6 months saving is not enough.
You're going to lock down for 100 days. Make sure you have money saved a year, 18 months, 24 months, don't depend on funding, loans, stuff like that. Half the time they'll probably reject it because your business hasn't been operational for more than a year. So don't think, unless if you're like a tenderpreneur or something, I don't know. But I think I'm speaking to people that are in compliance or the legal space. Because the thing is also with us as attorneys, we can't touch trust money. So even if your trust account looks very healthy and your business account is suffering, you cannot do anything because that hasn't been done. So it's not your money. If you go and you invest it for your clients, you know what I mean? So the finances part, make sure you do have an exit strategy or a good support structure. That's very important. No man is an island.
Get a mentor.
Make sure if you are married, you guys are on the same page with your spouse, with your partner, like, because those are really, really important things. If things are not okay at home, the likelihood of them being okay in the office, especially when children are also involved and all of that,
Yeah.
But with a clear vision, a clear strategy, I think, and finances, savings, very important. I think then you take the plunge, because you'll never be 100%. But there'll come a time where it'll be time to take the plunge, and then you go for it.
I also wanted to say, don't be emotional.
Yeah.
Don't be emotional in the sense that don't just go with the flow, as in, because X is doing it, I can also do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think being successful at something, we can all be successful at something, but it's a calling.
Yeah.
Just because Kudzai is doing compliance doesn't mean you should also follow the same route for the sake of making money. There might be something. Maybe you are supposed to be a florist, like you said, arranging flowers somewhere, and you're going to be great at it. Your florist, your flower business will be all over the continent. We don't know. Just don't be emotional about these things. What is your calling? Are you supposed to be doing what you're doing? And if there's a quote by somebody who says, when you love doing something, you wake up feeling like you don't, it's not work or something, because the passion is there. The drive is there, you see. And for us, I think we've actually stayed the long haul 3 years now, because it's something that we love. It's something that we love talking about. It's something that we look in online when people are facing problems. We're like, this is a governance issue, hey? This is a risk management issue, stuff like that. I think don't be emotional. Don't just go with the flow to say, Theo Balo is doing shoes, I'm also going to do shoes. You don't know the time that is actually put in.
Exactly.
You don't know the calling that is upon him to actually do that shoe business. You understand? So, and think about it. Like, think about it really hard, and establish that it's something that you are really called to do.
Yeah. And to your point.
Yeah. So I was going to say, not everybody starts with that $1 million paycheck.
Yes.
Invoice, but still not earn a salary or a stipend or a wage.
But that's true too. That's like to Inonge's point. That's why that calling and passion has to be there, because if you can't do it when it's hard and when there's no funds coming in, then how are you going to survive? Because those moments are always going to come, right? It's not like every day, the money is flowing into your bank account like raining water. They're going to be difficult times, or you're going to maybe have a difficult client, or whatever it might be, or you produce something or do something and it doesn't get received the way you think it will be received, right? And you have to sit down and recalibrate and figure out, okay, what went wrong, what went right. But if you don't have that underlying, like I can wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh, I have an idea, and like need to put it in my phone kind of situation. And it's stuff like that if you don't have that, then it's going to become a chore. So you really need to figure out. And a good piece of advice that I got from my mom when I was having the conversation with her about starting KC compliance, I was like, but there's so many people who do compliance. And she's like, are they you? Is there one grocery store in the whole of South Africa? There are plenty of groceries. Is there one clothing store in South Africa? And, as she was talking, I sat there feeling very silly, because I'm like, okay, true. You have to, one, you can't be intimidated because other people are doing something. And two, understand your value proposition that you are bringing to the table as an individual.
And you will not be everybody's favorite cup of tea. We've knocked on big companies to say we can actually be your what's this? You can come on retainer, and then we'll do everything legal for you. Lo and behold, a few months down the line, they take a lawyer who's next door to us. You understand? Exactly that. You will not be everybody's cup of tea, and you have to make peace with that. But somebody else can single you out and say, these are the people I want. But then, like you said, the value preposition, what do you bring to the table that's different from the other lawyer next door to you?
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah.
Absolutely. Guys, this has been such a fascinating conversation, and I'm shocked that we are already at an hour.
Already.
I feel like I could go on and on, but we've really done an hour already. And, I know that around this time as well, there's other things going on for home and travel and stuff like that. But I did really enjoy the conversation. And I think a lot of value is going to be received from the people who watch this conversation, because there's so many things that we touched on, from the motherhood journey and how that impacts you, having the determination for going into private practice, and then the hurdles that you face once you're in there and how you keep going. And I think those are all very, very valuable conversations and insights that you shared. And I'm so thankful that you were willing to be a part of this conversation. I might just have to do a take two, because like I said, I looked at the time.
Yeah,
and when did the hour go?
This is fun.
It was fun. I really did enjoy it. So thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of Compliance Conversations today. And I don't know if you've got any last words that you want to share before we say goodbye and, until the next one.
Is there anything else you want to share?
You're okay? Okay.
Just thank you for tuning in. That's all. And
yes. No, thank you to everyone who popped in, who stayed the course, everything. Thank you for being a part. And please subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends who think will benefit from this conversation. And what I will do is, in the description of this on YouTube and all my platforms, I'll also include the social media handles for Lindiwe and Inonge and the law firm and the compliance advisory. So if you're interested in following them and seeing their journey as they grow into this global entity, then you also check them out and follow them on their social media platforms and support their business. If you've got something that needs doing, then, reach out to them. It'll be really great if we can all uplift each other as well. But thank you so much for being a part of the conversations. Have a great evening forward, and we'll subscribe, and I'll tell you what's coming up next soon.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.